Hey everyone, how is everyone doing today? Welcome to another episode of Transformation Time. Every Thursday, I host an episode of either Transformation Time or Behind the Scenes. My name is Diana Lizarazo, and today's guest speaker is Ilona Koziol. On Transformation Time, we get to talk about our guest speaker. We get to chat. I'll be chatting with my guest speaker's personal development journey and her mindset shifts that she's gone through. And our guest speakers are real estate investors and they're entrepreneurs. So I'm always excited to have these kind of people on to share their experiences and to share that anyone can do what we're doing. So let's get Ilona on. I'm so excited to have her on. Let me see. Hey Ilona.
Hey Diana, how are you?
I'm good. How have you been?
I'm doing really well. I'm so excited.
Awesome, awesome. So let's just give the viewers a little background on you. What kind of real estate investor are you? How long have you been in it? And anything else you'd love to share about your experience?
Yeah, so thanks so much for having me, first of all. My name is Ilona Koziol, as you mentioned. I am a real estate entrepreneur. I specialize in land development. That's one of the strategies I use to invest. I've been doing this since the pandemic, so March 2020. That's kind of when a lot of our lives changed, and one of them was me. So that's kind of when I started. So it's over 3 years now, and yeah, dabbling in different things, and yeah, but that's my main strategy.
Awesome. So what about COVID made you make the switch, or what about getting into like what even made you think to even think of getting into real estate?
Yeah, yeah. So that's an interesting question. I feel like I was pushed into real estate investing. Before COVID happened, I was in corporate sales at a transportation company. And I was loving my life. I was, getting a good salary, a car allowance, and all the things, and investing a little bit, like learning how to invest, private lending a little bit, buying pre-construction homes and such. And I had joined Keyspire at that time, and cleared out all my accounts and gave them all my money. And like, okay, I'm gonna do this course. Like, I didn't think about cash flow. Like, I have a really good paying job. So I jumped in with both feet, paid a lot of money, and a couple weeks later, I got laid off from my job. So now my bank accounts are empty. Like, I have investments here and there that I can't, access. And I just joined this group. So that's when I made the decision that this is going to be the thing that changes my life. Everything happens for a reason. Everything's always working out for me. I've been working on personal development for years at that time already. So although I have to say, I was really upset, not to say I wasn't scared at all. I did the crying after I got the phone call, and how am I going to do this? Oh my God, I'm a single mom with 2 kids. Like, oh my God. So I did have that moment in time where I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. But that's where, the personal development side and all that work that I've been doing really played a big factor, and was a huge benefit for me to move forward. So that's kind of how it started. It's funny, I was just telling the story to somebody the other day. I was at the Keyspire 3-day summit, and I was saying, they're like, what are your goals? I'm like, well, in 5 years, I want to start doing this, like maybe once a week, I'll take a day off my job and start doing it like that. So I had different plans, and then the universe had different plans for me too. So within the next 3 weeks, I was like, I need to leverage this. I need to leverage this network. I need to learn as much as I can. And luckily for us, we were at home all the time. So I spent the majority of my time on Zoom calls, as we do, meeting people, learning things, taking courses, joining masterminds, hiring coaches, all the things. I just went in all at once. So that's kind of how it started. Yeah.
That's crazy, but it's actually like I'm sure looking back, it's like you said, like a blessing in disguise. Because things like this also, like losing your job and being like close to zero in the bank account because everything just got all invested, kind of also just lights that fire under you to be like, well, now I have to make it work, and it's almost like it's a non-negotiable now, right?
That's right. That's right. When you're put under that kind of pressure, and that's the thing, then as we know in this business, you do a deal and money comes in, and then you kind of chill. You're like, okay, I'm good. Let me celebrate that for a minute, and I feel like that is motivation, right? Like like barely making it. I was like, how am I gonna pay my rent? I have no idea. Like, where's the money gonna come from? But you're absolutely right. That's really a big time motivator where you're like, I need to keep the lights on. I'm gonna go make this happen.
Especially like you said, you have a family. I think even more, right? Because it's like you need a roof under your head for your kids. Can't leave them on the street. It's not going to work too well.
Exactly. And I used to say, I'm like, no one's coming to save me. Like I need to. I'm the one. There's no. And that's the thing. We get stuck in our comfort zones, and we have the comfort of our job or our spouse or whatever, right? So it's when you get forced into those situations, it's hard. And it feels hard at the time, and don't get me wrong, I had a lot of days where I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen. But it definitely pushes you and leaves you, like you said, with no choice.
And it's a testament to your like strong willpower too, because other people could have like crashed and just been like in a little hole, and it's just like life is done and nothing you can do about it. I'm sure you have like those mini ones, but then you like cry about it, and then you're like, time to put on my girl panties on and like get on with life, right? And like figure this out, right?
Exactly. And I think those practices, as we know, like I had practices like the gratitude practice and meditation, and I had those tools in my toolbox and the awareness. I think that half of the battle is having the awareness of how you feel, because then you spiral if you can't catch yourself.
That's true. Like the negative talk, right? Oh, I think you have a call going. It muted you.
Sorry.
But you were saying?
Yeah, I think having those practices and having those tools available is so helpful, because we can gain momentum in the wrong direction when we don't have awareness of our feelings and what we're thinking about, therefore what we're feeling. So I'm blessed that I had that awareness to be like, this is not going to go down a good route here. Let me use those tools to get myself feeling better, thinking in terms of possibilities. What's possible for me? What can this network do for me? Instead of saying, I just spent $30,000. Oh my God, this is horrible. Telling everybody about it, calling my mom about it, because then that energy is reciprocated, and they're like, oh my God, what are you gonna do? And now my mom's worried. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna think and speak in the direction of the desire that I have, instead of constantly speaking about the unwanted things that are happening.
Awesome. So you like said a lot of great tips for people that are going in a spiral, because we all go through spirals here and there. And like you said, it's just really how far we let ourselves go down. So I think like you're saying like gratitude, which is great. And then you're saying, which I think is actually a really great point, is that sometimes it's not worth it to go sharing the negativity, because like you said, it will just amplify, because then everyone kind of like comes in with you with that negativity, and then it's by the end of it, it's bringing you down instead of helping by any means.
Exactly.
Any other tips to help people like that get out of the ruts? Because there's many different ruts, like that, like losing a job, but being in a project where there's problems going on. Any tips in like any of those areas that's helped you?
Yeah, I think there's so many, available to us. And I mean, I want to start by saying something is different. It's different for everybody. Something will work for you that won't work for me, and vice versa. And then I also go through stages of different things and tools that I use. Like when I first started meditating, it felt like a chore. I didn't have the practice. I had to practice gratitude. So I love that you brought that up, because gratitude is the first thing I would say is take time in the day, whenever that is. It doesn't need to be like scripted, and you don't need a whole gratitude journal with just a pen and a paper, or even just thinking and feeling. The feeling is the most important part of gratitude, because I remember when I started, I had this gratitude journal, and I would force myself. I'm like, when I had no job, I'm like, I'm grateful I don't have a job. Like, you're like mad at it. You're like, I'm grateful that I get to spend all day at home with my kids because it's COVID, So that doesn't help. That's not the point, right? The point is to feel it, and just little things that you can actually appreciate. And that's the feeling of appreciation is so strong.
100%. And I think like another thing, because it was funny, I had a hard time with gratitude too, but it was something like all of a sudden, because for me it was more like I guess, wasn't used to thinking about all the things that I should be happy for. And like, you think in a day, for example, like how many good things happen? Because we're so used to seeing the massive good things. Like, I bought a house, that one's like, whoa, that's a big one. That's easy to see, right? But the regular day-to-day things, I think we're not used to really paying attention to them. And then I just remember being like that, like, I'm like, man, what happened yesterday? And I'm like, I'm happy that I got up at like 6 in the morning. Like I was just like questioning it, like I guess, like
Yes,
maybe, I guess I should be happy about that. But
exactly.
I noticed like a week in, one, I started getting easier because I started getting the hang of it. But the other thing is you actually start feeling it a lot more. Like at the beginning, it felt very mechanical for me. And I'm just like, yeah, I guess I'm happy for this. I'm like, I guess this is something to be happy about. And I, I'd be writing it down. But then afterwards, I felt like once I started, like you said, feeling it, my day went so like, well, like it was like such a nice day. And it was
Mhm.
so strange. So I
Mhm.
feel like give it a week too, to kind of get yourselves into it.
It's like driving a car. When we first start, we're like 10 and 2, and oh my gosh, which one's the brake and which one's the gas? How am I gonna, and that's the same. It's a practice. That's why I call a gratitude practice, a meditation practice. Um, and
Mhm.
and now, for example, I don't feel I need a journal to hold my gratitude in. I feel it every day. I feel it all the time. I feel it. I say it a lot. I'm so
Mhm.
grateful for you, grateful for our friendship. I'm feeling gratitude all day, and it radiates really. Like when someone's feeling appreciation for you or for their lives,
Mhm.
or you can see it in how they live their lives. How happy they are, how they interact with people. And so the practice has evolved for me so much that now when I'm walking and it's beautiful outside, for example, my kids on their scooters, I just take a second, take a couple of seconds, take 10 seconds, and wow, this is amazing. My kids are healthy. It's such a beautiful day. I'm walking around. I have the privilege of spending time with them, and so just things in the moment, like when you're having a good time or you're having a really good conversation, practice even vocalizing it. I'm so great. Say it to whoever you're with. Say it to your husband. Say it to your kids. Like, I'm so grateful for this. I'm so grateful we came to the park today. And I'm, also helping them learn that language and learn to voice those things, because if you can write it down, you can feel it, you can voice it out, you can share it, it really comes back to you. And like you said, your day just gets so much better. And I have amazing interactions with the guy at the gas station that's selling my kid the lollipop thing, and you just become more friendly and happy, and you're not consumed by all the stress and heaviness that comes, because that still comes, but it's
Mhm.
really all about how you're taking it. And when you're in a state of gratitude and appreciation, and you know you have that kind of awareness, you can just be like, no, that thought's not serving me right now. Can I do anything right now about that deal? It's the weekend, my kids are on their scooters. Am I going to stress about that right now? Or should I, choose gratitude instead and deal with it when it comes, and know that everything's always working out for me? So there's no need to stress about it. Answers will come. I'm resourceful. Then the affirmations come, right? I'm resourceful. I have a great team, amazing people around me,
Mhm.
so it all becomes a practice, and then it becomes
Mhm.
life, and how you live.
100%. Yeah, it just changes your mentality like that. Like if something bad happens, like fine, you still feel it. It will definitely affect you. But I feel like those solutions come by quicker too. I feel like when you get into the negativity, you can't even think of things to solve. If anything, you start thinking of all the how terrible and all the worst things that this can make happen. Whereas when you're already in that positive mode, something bad happens, but like that kind of can flip out of it quite quickly. And it's more of like, okay, so what do I need to do to switch this, to change this, to get this done, to like make this work in the best way? And I feel like you get like really good solutions. I don't know, they like pop in your head so easily.
Yes, 100%. That's what I believe about meditation. Meditation's quieting your mind so you can receive the answer. You can't find
100%.
the answer in the vibration of the problem, like
Yeah,
there's
or in the noise, right? Of that,
exactly.
like negativity or talking too much.
That's why people say
Totally.
they get their best ideas in the shower while they're driving, because you're not doing anything else. You're not on your phone, you're not distracted, and you're like, oh my God, this idea. Yeah, because you stopped your thinking for a minute while you're in this automatic mode of taking a shower or driving somewhere or doing something. Like I love ironing. That's like my thing. You know what I mean? Like I meditate when I iron. I'm like, because it's so mindless. So you can just let your mind go, right?
Love it. And I just wanted to also say that Rosie is saying, absolutely love you guys talking about meditation and gratitude. That's awesome. It's great to know that other people are also thinking about it or yeah, like even talking about it is so important, right? But also I wanted to get into, so before getting into real estate and even before COVID, because it sounded like you were already kind of investing in a different type, but you were still investing. So at that time, what like skills did you have that you were able to transfer over into actually doing this full time and becoming like being a real estate investor?
Great question. So I think, we all have skills from what we're doing and wherever our lives brought us to, and they're so valuable. And some people come in and like, well, I don't know how to underwrite a deal. And then they feel like they're new and they lose so much confidence. They're like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Everybody else knows. But they come from this background. I know people that are like, been, like engineers and this and that and have amazing experience in professions for like 20, 30 years. Then they come into the real estate world, they're like, oh, I don't know anything. I'm like, no, stop. So I love that you asked that question. So my background's in sales. I also was in operations, which was not my thing. And there were big ticket sales, like we were selling contracts for outsourcing fleet for companies. So it was a really long sales cycle, lots of relationship building, and that's what I really love to do. But you're right, I did some investing. So I knew the process. I was well versed in the whole, acquisition part. I'm like, and also when you know your skills, you know what you can learn too, right? So being really clear on what you're good at first, and then adding that value into what we're doing in real estate. So financing, acquisitions, sales, which then turned into raising funds for the deals. And in the beginning, I was looking for deals. I was looking for a lot of deals. I was making a lot of relationships with real estate agents in the area. We narrowed down a strategy, which was single family homes in High Park, and we would convert them into 8-unit apartment buildings. So I knew exactly what I was looking for. I knew exactly how to build the relationships that I needed with the people that had these kinds of deals. And in the beginning, you're fumbling too, because you learn. You're like, okay, you call the realtor, and you're like, do you have any good deals? And I'm like, click, like you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, okay, that didn't work. Okay, let's try something else. So,
You're like, next way to ask a question.
yeah, right. You're like that one didn't work, because I would be the same thing. Like this new person is like searching for so
Yeah.
and then so all of those things. It's funny, you forget the step-by-step process that kind of unfolds as you're becoming, a new business owner or going into a new field. You just kind of forget. It's so funny. But yeah, so that's kind of what I did. I spent a lot of my time on relationships. Oh, and then I would call the next realtor and be like, I'm looking for a 50 by 150 lot, da, 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 da. And now all of a sudden the conversation's different. They're like, okay, this person knows what they're looking for. They're experienced. I want it in this kind of zoning. This is what I'm looking for. This is what we're doing. So you get more confident as you go, because it's just trial and error, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those things, and I was it's funny because I did this exercise when I first started, and I started networking with people in this community, and I knew very well what I was good at, but more so what I wasn't good at. So I'm like, I want to do this. I had this, attraction to pre-construction, and I had this attraction to just construction. My brother's in the trades. My dad is in the trades his whole life. I would invest with my ex-husband in pre-construction. We would drive by on a Sunday with a coffee and check it out. So I'm like, I want to do something construction related, but I don't know anything about construction. Like, there's no way you can do all the things either. I'm a firm believer, and we spoke about this really passionately last time we spoke. You can't do
Mm-hmm.
it all. So find
100%.
the things that you're good at, and then also be aware of the things that need to happen that you're not good at.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where my partnership formed. My partner was really amazing on the construction side, very knowledgeable on the city planning side, has a ton of experience. So I was like, this is perfect. Like, I can handle the first, like, the acquisition piece. And he was really looking for that, because I hate that stuff, talking to realtors and blah, 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 like, whatever. I don't want to come to your
You're
networking
like, I
events, you
want
know?
to build the house,
Yeah,
or the building.
exactly. And he was so passionate and amazing at it. So that was the first realization of, like, this is, not a one man or woman show. It's more, it's a collaborative effort, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really
And
difficult
it's great
to do it
to
on.
not think, because I feel like what really happens with a lot of people is like that, like they think, oh my God, I have no idea how to analyze properties. I don't know how to do this. Like, yeah, like we do have to learn it, but they think coming in, like, because you look at the property, you think that, oh, I need to analyze, I need to know renovations, and I need to know about the house, that you think that you come in without any skills, and you think you're starting from zero. And it's like, no, you actually come with skills, and then it's just finding out, obviously there's still going to be learning that needs to happen. But then, like you said, like, and especially for growth, like growth will happen is with partnerships. Like, you have to collaborate if you want to actually do something substantial.
Yeah, exactly. And now I feel like where I am now, I want to expand that even further. And I'm really passionate. Like, I'm in the middle of hiring a few people, and for different various things and businesses. And the first thing that is my requirement is, I want you to love what you do. I want you to be really
Mhm.
passionate about what you're doing, because there are people that are good at so many different things. And you're, like you said, people come into, they see all the things, all the courses, all the A to Z. I'm going to teach you from acquisition to 10 years from now, and you're going to learn it all. And you're like, oh my God, I don't know how to do all that. It's overwhelming, right? But look at from the corporate, I came from the corporate world. I'm like, I didn't do the accounting and the bookkeeping and the running the numbers and the sales and that's not even a thing. I'm like, how can I take your course? And that's when I went into that community. They were teaching, and granted, they were teaching it on a bit of a smaller scale, like, we buy a duplex or a little multifamily and have it, and that kind of thing. But when you look to expand, I remember thinking, I'm like, why are they teaching us to do all the things? There's no way. Like, I'm not good at that. So, and then we procrastinate on the things that we don't want to do, and then they never get done. And then it's just like, if you're doing this thing that you love every single day, you wake up excited, there's no procrastination, it feels easy, it feels fun. So that's my first requirement when someone wants to come work for me. I'm like, you need to be clear on what it is that you really enjoy and you love to do, because I know people, in my business, that they're like, they love running numbers and creating beautiful spreadsheets, and they're like so proud of all their sheets and tabs and formulas, and like,
Calculations.
yeah, they're like, okay, don't ever touch these cells, these are locked because I know you're going to try to change them. And they're so passionate. They're like, and
Mhm.
I'm so happy to see people that are so happy in what they're doing and they feel fulfilled. That, for example, is not my thing, right? But it's somebody's thing. And I've had people that are on my team or that have worked for me in the past, that they take my vision and they take what I want, and they're just like, I'm going to make this beautiful plan around it, or this beautiful spreadsheet, or whatever it is, underwriting or
Mhm.
construction or whatever that thing is. So going back to your original question, try to find that thing that you love now, because people sometimes, and I see this too, people have beautiful careers that they love and they feel fulfilled and they feel, like they're using their talents and gifts and they're having fun. And then they come and try to do real estate as a full-time business, not using any, for example, creative people, right? Like, and I know interior designers and architects and other designers that are like, ooh, this business thing is not really that fulfilling and amazing. Like, now they almost want to jump back. So
Mm-hmm.
I think in the, you know, sometimes I tell people, like, if you have a little bit of money, try to invest, try to be a passive investor, knowing that you don't have to do the thing. You don't have to know how to do the thing, but you can ride along on the journey as an investor. Maybe you do start smaller so you can see all the things that are happening. Because in the beginning, I had all these Zoom calls and I intentionally spoke to somebody that's doing a different strategy all the time because I thought I wanted to do all of it. I'm like, I'm gonna have short-term Airbnbs, I'm gonna have this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Then you talk to the person that's doing short-term Airbnbs, they're like, I deal with this, and oh my God, this is brutal. My cleaner didn't show up, the people canceled, they trashed my, like, I'm like, oh no, I changed my mind. So if you can find an opportunity to get involved somehow in the deal, whether it's passive or whether you have a skill that you can lend or what have you, finding that value and adding it to that partnership, even if it's small at first. No one's telling you to be a 50-50 even GP partner, right? That way you can learn and understand and see where you can add value.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. That's great. And just emphasizing on what you said that the clarity is so important to help because there's even people, which I think you're basically alluding to, that there's people that want to invest their money but don't want to have anything to do with real estate. They love what they do. They just want to have some passive income. So it's like you just see so many different spectrums. And it's just like that, like having that clarity to be like, what am I good at? What do I want? Do I want to be in it full time or I just want to get some property so I'm settled or, but really I like this, like understanding even that, like the plan, like the bigger picture of what this is doing for you and where that leads to. I feel like that definitely helps to figure it out. Because like you said, I think it is very true. When you find people that actually love what they do, even if something tough comes by, like they still get it done because like the majority of the stuff you do is just like you love it. And then it's like one or two things come by that aren't really things that you like or is stressful or whatever. But I would say like at least the 80-90% of the time you're like loving what you do, which is like I feel like the most important part.
Exactly. And there's a misconception. I think a lot of the times we say, oh, doctors and lawyers, they only want to be passive because they have these great jobs and da da da. It's not just those people. Like I know teachers that are really amazing at what they do. I know people that have small, businesses from home and they're really creative and talented with their hands and they make beautiful things. Those people also have money to invest. And sometimes we get sold on these stories online on these, Zoom calls where we go to events and we see the success stories and we're like, oh my God, I think I want to do that. And you don't have to start off with a big investment. That's another thing. Like people think to be a real estate investor or what have you, they have to have this huge sum of money. No, you don't. You can start with, invest your money into a fund, get, $20,000 working for you. That's okay. You don't have to go and I get it. It's inspiring to hear the people on stage and then people pretend to want to quit their whole lives and like, I'm going to become this investor, so it's not for everybody.
100%.
But there are other ways to invest. And I'm really passionate about doing that and offering people that have lower amounts because it's sometimes investment firms, I know investment firms downtown that won't even talk to you unless you have $5 million or, an average minimum for a GPLP even in our community is $100,000, right? So then you feel this pressure to go raise other people's money and now you're entangled in this thing, not even knowing if this is something that you want to do, but you don't really have a lot of money, and then people are telling you can raise money and now you're like an introvert and now you're raising money and it's so uncomfortable and you want to go back to being a teacher, so there are other ways to invest your money in real estate. And I think that's not shared enough. Like some of my friends don't even know what private lending is, which I didn't know either 5 or 6 years ago. Right? I'm like, I can give them my money and they're just going to pay me interest. This is crazy. Like, amazing. So many opportunities. It's such a massive industry and so many strategies to be able to make money, whether you have a little bit or a lot, or you want to be full time, or you want to continue your passion in your career. So,
100%. Yeah, even Baba agrees with you. He's saying facts.
hi, Bob.
So 100%. And so what would you say then right now, where you're right now, what types of changes are you making in yourself right now to get like those big goals that you have, like the big ones, like that 5-year, 10-year plan, like the big goals? Like what kind of things are you changing right now?
That's a good question. Yeah, I feel like it's forever evolving. I feel like I'm very mindful again of the things that I'm talking about, thinking about the people that are around me. That's a huge learning I've had in the last couple of years is, setting boundaries and really taking care of yourself first, taking care of your peace and really taking inventory. I always talk about taking inventory about your thoughts, but also taking inventory of who is around you. Are they inspiring you? Do they believe in you? Are they doing big things? Are they growing? Are they talking about the books that they're reading and the deals that they're doing or the challenges that they're having and helping you? So I think recently, over the last like 6 to 8 months, I'm noticing that that's been maybe even unintentionally recently has been a massive boost to what I've been doing and the possibilities I see for myself and my goals in my life. And, sometimes that looks like joining a mastermind, which I've joined, a few times, or having a coach that believes in you or it's a good friend that, you can talk to about a lot of things. So putting myself in places that are able to nurture that for me and vice versa. And I want to add value to that network. Another thing is I've been traveling a lot. I'm like in Miami every month. So doing the things now, I feel like we wait so often to celebrate, to take a trip, to have dinner with that friend or your mom or whatever. We wait for a special occasion. Like I'm guilty of this. I buy a really nice bottle of champagne to celebrate something, and then I don't open it because I'm like, that's a really expensive bottle of champagne. I'm just gonna keep open the freaking champagne, like so. That's what I've been doing too, is putting myself in places that I'm inspired with people that inspire me, taking a lot of time to really connect with myself and my inner being and get those answers that you talked about, right?
Awesome.
And then
And
always,
Baba's asking, what is the one thing you are constantly working on? So what's the number one thing for you, the big one?
mindset wise, I think always thinking about what I'm thinking about, trying to be guided by my feelings, growing my awareness of that, and constantly working to gain more knowledge and have higher level conversations with the people that you can't have those conversations with, because we're all the same. Just what conversations are you having? So the higher you go and the more inspired you are, and the more goal oriented you are, you will attract those people. So yeah, but I'm forever working on my mindset. That's like a forever thing.
I know, right? I don't know. That's nice that you've had my personal development for a long time. Because for me, it was getting into real estate and just the mentor that I was with, that it just kind of like that came with the package. But I kind of like very much the engineering mentality of like whatever you talk about your nonsense. I care about like the facts and stuff. And then it was funny, but I can say that we had like the once a week you have like the motivational talk, and I can say I loved it and I loved the energy. But besides that, I didn't actually realize the impact of personal development until someone actually were just like chatting on what I was doing, what we were like both doing. And then they were just like, oh my God, you have so much stuff that you're doing. And they made me reflect back at what I had done in the year. And then that's when I was like, that aha moment came in, and I was like, oh my God, the old Diana would have never been able to do that within a year. That would have been like a 5 to 10 year plan. And then like that's when I was just like, and the reason that happened was that was personal development. And I was just like, okay, my mindset is like, now this is something where I'm the same. Now it's like, I will forever be like, I feel like I've become an experiment to myself, like what can I teach Diana to do to like make her do something else. And I feel like I've turned myself into an experiment, like, oh my God, what can she do today?
Yeah, I love that because you need proof. That's the thing. People usually, and I kind of needed this too when I first made my vision board 5 years ago. I kind of believed it, but I'm like, I don't know. I'm just gonna put the stuff and I'm gonna pretend to believe it, and hopefully it works. I don't know. But then things started coming pretty quickly. So as soon as you
Mhm.
have that proof of something that happened, it gives you that reassurance and that okay, I can. Wow, okay, this is. And then I look at my journals from like 2020 or 2018. I'm like, oh my God, that's what I was wanting. My goals and stuff. I'm like, this is great. And then you exceed your goals. And because of these practices, that it helps you gain momentum and sustain momentum in that direction. And then because it happens little by little, but even the ideas, like you were saying, be grateful for that they're coming. That's a manifestation in itself, a thought, right? A thought that sparks a good idea. So again, taking inventory of those things helps, and celebrating them helps.
Yeah.
And when, like you said, you took a long time, and then when you look back a whole year, you're like, whoa, that's insane. And really the goal is to always be, grateful and
Noticing.
aware.
Yeah. 100% love it. And so what about for you? So what kind of mindset shifts did you go through, especially like that, like losing your job to having to do this full time? What mindset shifts did you go through that period? Because that must have been like that. Like I felt you were probably like having to like knock those down quite quickly because
Yeah.
you're like, I gotta make
Yeah.
this work.
So I think one of the big things that I worked on from, even the 5 years ago was changing the belief. Like we have so many beliefs that we accumulate through our lives, through people, through, what our parents told us. Money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work really hard. You have to hate your job. I saw my parents work outside of the house. My mom worked like 12-hour days every day. My dad was on site all the time. For me, I equated work with like it's really hard and they're really tired and it's extremely physically taxing. And then I was in a financially controlling relationship for 10 years. And then I thought all these other things about money, and oh my God, it's so hard to make. I can't make money, or, I'm not worthy to even be employed, is how I felt when I was leaving my marriage. So I knew those beliefs were not serving me. I'm like, thinking this way and believing this is not going to get me a different result. And that's when I started learning the power of your beliefs, and really that what you believe is what you will receive in your life, right? It will show up physically for you in your life. So that's one of the first things I did, was change my beliefs about money. And it was really from a book. I call it the gateway drug to my self-development journey, which is You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. And I'm the type that I never want to do the exercises. I'm like, yeah, whatever, next page. I don't participate. I think I know everything sometimes. But I did. I was pretty desperate. So I was like, okay, let me do the exercise. Like it must work. So she tells you to write to a certain belief. So mine was money, because I wasn't getting any at that time. And so I would write to money as if they're a person. You suck. You're so hard to get. It's scarce, and I would write like rich people are greedy and blah, like all the things that, doesn't grow on trees. All the beliefs that I gathered over my life and in my marriage and from my parents. And then you read it and it's shocking. You're like, wow, these beliefs suck. No wonder I'm literally repelling it because I
Exactly.
don't believe it comes to me very easily. So it won't. So that was the first major belief I changed. And then you write another letter to how you do want to believe, or the type of beliefs you do want to have when it comes to money or whatever, the relationships or whatever. So that was a big, big, big belief shift for me. And then when I started, I think the big shift for me was more on the value side. Like, you don't have to work 9 to 5 to make a certain amount of money. Like, that was my mindset at that time. I was, working at a corporate job. I'm like, if I'm not going into the office, who's paying me, right? Like, that was something that I was uncomfortable with. But just changing that mindset into that entrepreneur mindset, right? And I think a lot of people struggle with that. It's like, where's my, biweekly pay, or whatever it is, how about my salary? Who's going to pay the bills? And then being afraid of that kind of like entrepreneur lifestyle. And we still do I have really amazing months, and the next month there's like, I don't know, there's deals moving around, things moving around. So I think that was a big thing I had to overcome in the beginning too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they're saying Ilona is such a boss.
Thanks, Josh.
And so, and I was thinking about it when you were saying that. I was actually thinking about, oh man, I just lost my train of thought. What was the last thing you said?
Changing beliefs about making money as an entrepreneur. Is that what I said?
Oh, yeah. So I was saying for you, did you feel that you always had that entrepreneur mentality, or was that something you had to grow into? Because, like you said, those fears are very true, right? I feel the same, like having a job. I loved, like, I made really good money, but I am a person that is all about consistency. And in, like you said, in this, now it's like I like swap between, right? I'll like be consistent, and then all of a sudden that drops because a lot of money comes back. But then I'm like super cash heavy, but it's not making me money. And then it's like that, like getting used to that, like, oh, like I just wanna, for me, it's like trying to get out of that mindset of like, loving to have, like, I just love the consistency, like knowing like, yep, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. And now it's like, it comes, nope, you're going to be just having this money sitting in your bank account for a while, and then it back places it out again to something, and then, making money. And yeah, so that's like my struggle.
I know it is challenging at first, and I think to your question, was I always entrepreneurial? I feel like I was always like a visionary. That's like been my thing. So I feel like that, the entrepreneur, I did photography for about 9 years. So that was my, entrepreneurship type of thing. And I did different charity events. I started a group called Mom Squad on Facebook. We have like 37,000 members. So I did a lot of charity things. I was a stay-at-home mom for 7 years. I had all the time in the world. So I would do different things. I love events. I love people. I love connecting people. So I do think it's been in my blood. And as much as I was enjoying the corporate world, the only reason I was enjoying it because I was never in the office, and like the steady pay was great, but I was also, most of my money was made from commission. So it was still that like chase and that drive and that hunger.
So
And I
you
think,
were used to that then. For you, you were used to like the
yeah,
ups and downs, or for you, probably was like no big deal. You're like, yeah, I'll just make it, or like you probably have a lot, and then like nothing coming in, but it doesn't really matter because you made so much the other months.
exactly. Or I know I'll have to just work harder the next month or whatever the case is. So
That's awesome. That's great. And so, any other mindset shifts that you wanted to talk about, things that were pivotal, or even if you'd want to share a story that like helped you realize a mindset shift?
I think, like I said in the beginning, there was a couple of different things that shifted for me. One was, being a corporate world employee to an entrepreneur was a shift. Um, and then just recently, I think, the shift in how I look at business in general. I think as you gain experience and look for that awareness and how you're doing things, what's working, what's not working. So in the beginning, I was focus on what I'm really good at, what I can bring to the table. And I've evolved since then, right? So checking back in with myself, is this something that I still want to do? Do I want to be on these types of calls? Do I want to be doing this type of thing? And one of the things too is pivotal moment in my life was reading the book Who Not How. I just like huge fan, because then I'm like, okay, I felt like I had been cheating this whole time because I just love to delegate, and I'm just a natural born leader. I love inspiring people, motivating people. I don't want to do the things. And I think that was a big shift. Like, I don't need to be doing the thing. I can have an amazing team or partners that can do those things. So I'm in the middle of opening a mortgage brokerage. It's taken way longer than I ever expected. I was like, oh my goodness, can we ever get our license here, people? Hello. Did I just say that? Yeah. and the process would have been in the beginning when I was even, coming into the real estate investing world, I was trained and taught, and the people around me were learning all the little things. All the things needed to be learned. There's a bookkeeping course. There's this kind of course. There's the 4 ways to win. There's all this, the entire process needed to be learned. Not that you don't need to know that about your business, but you don't need to be the one doing it. So even the way I'm structuring this brokerage, like, I'm not an agent. I mean, I do have a license, or I did, and I never really used it. But most people, the process that most people would follow is become an agent, be an agent for 2 years, become a broker, be a broker, and then open a brokerage. So when I tell people I'm opening a brokerage, they're like, you're not a broker. I'm like, I don't need to be a broker. I'm like, there's somebody that's better at it than me, So that just going from the lower level of trying to do all the things and trying to know all the things, and, take 25 years to build a business from like doing it yourself to then, in 10 years, finally having a few employees. I just go straight for the top. How do I open a broker? Is it possible? I ask myself this question. What is possible? If I want to own a brokerage, I can do it this way. What else is possible for me? I don't need to be the broker. I want to be a business owner. I know that's my strength. I'm not the person to be doing the deals. And, there are people that are much more, experienced and capable and amazing at what they already do. Leverage those people. Treat them really well, pay them really well, be amazing to them, and then everybody wins. So that's where I'm now putting myself in those situations where I'm using my talents and skills and what I love to do. And therefore, everybody else sees that. You set a tone for the culture that you want in your business, in your network. People are happy, healthy, thriving, traveling, making a lot of money, all doing the things that they do best. And that was one of my dreams. That was one of my vision boards, if you will. I had a quote for the longest time on my Facebook. At my table, those gathered shall feast, because that's really in my heart. I want the people that are closest to me to be happy, healthy, wealthy, a network of friends that do business together. Our kids play together, and that's what my life is. It's such a blessing because I have the best friends that are really successful. We do deals together, we open businesses together, we have a great time together, we travel together. And that's really, where I'm at today, coming from all the things and a messy divorce and, getting laid off and going through all the things and working so many hours. And this is really what I've been able to mold my life into, is something that I enjoy, something that is beneficial for my kids to watch, something that is inspiring to others. And I'm constantly lucky enough to be inspired by the people around me. And there's so much momentum. There's so much happiness. There's so much joy. The conversations are different. The food is different, like everything is different. The setting's different. And so that's the number one thing. Happiness in my life is, I'm having a grateful moment right now. Like, I'm so happy that it's actually my life. Like, I could have not dreamt of that 5 years ago. So
love it. Yeah. And even I may pronounce it wrong, but Harsharan says great leadership quality quote. So definitely everyone else is loving it too.
Thanks.
And and it's just another point that you were really that I wanted to emphasize that I think it's, have you read the E-Myth?
You know what? I read half of it, I think.
Well, I really like it
I
because
tend
it's
to
a
do
lot
that.
of,
I read like half of the book. I'm like, okay,
oh, I'm the same. I read like the parts that I care about and I'm like, yeah, next.
I'm glad I'm not
But
alone.
the E-Myth, actually, I personally really loved it because it was a lot of what you're saying. You know, a lot of people don't give value to the entrepreneurs. And for example, they think like, oh, I know how to, for example, build houses, so I'm going to make a renovation business. But they don't realize that building the business itself, it's a job, and a lot of people don't like that. Like for example, like that with my husband, he's very good. Like he loves like talking to people, and he loves like doing the renovations in the house. But he has no interest in the back end. He just has zero of it. So then it's like we teamed up together to do it because I have no problem with dealing with just making sure the company's running fine and like, you know, seeing how we can improve things and things like that. And and then because I'm the same actually, I'm also the visionary. I also have like that entrepreneur mentality. And sometimes like that, a lot of people don't give it enough credit to that, right? Because they'll think like, oh, I have a skill, so I can start a business. And a lot of businesses fail because they don't realize like all the work that's actually involved in getting that business up and running or even consistently staying there. You know, like you said, like they just want to do what they love, whatever that is, and don't think about there's so many other areas that have to be taken care of too, that they may not like, you know, and then they find out after they started the business, you know?
Exactly, exactly. That's exactly what I was saying with the investor side, right? Like it
Yeah.
looks all fancy on the outside. Oh my gosh, all this passive income, all this generational wealth, and then they start doing the thing, and they're like, ugh, I want to go back to renovating, houses and bathrooms, and people are amazing at what they do, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not a race, and I completely agree with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a great statement that you said because like that, it's just like that. Not enough people realize it, and they just think it's so easy, and it's like,
Mhm. And listen, when I started my development business, I didn't know what I was doing. But what did I do? I hired the person that knew what they were doing. I have no
Mhm.
problem. I love investing in people. I love, investing in myself and my business through really quality people because they've done
Mhm.
it a million times. What did I do when I wanted to start a business? I hired a business coach that starts businesses. That's the person. He doesn't even know anything about real estate investing. I'm like, I don't care. I'm not asking you to teach me about real estate investing. I have that part covered. I've
Mhm.
taken the course in a mastermind. I have the network, etc. Tell me exactly what it takes. This is what I need to make annually. This is what my partner
Mhm.
and I need to make, right? Combined. Tell us how to get there because I've never started this kind of business before. Yeah, I ran a small business, my photography business. I did pretty well. I mean, for a stay-at-home mom, I was making pretty good, decent enough money for the amount of time I was spending, but I've never built this kind of business. So what did we do? We hired the person that knew best because we could have also hired an assistant to try to grow and then we're trying to tell them what to do, but we don't even know what to do and then we're then you have to know who you're hiring and what your expectation of that person in that role is. Get very specific because yeah, I can have a full-time employee, but I need someone. Mentors are so important in my life. And yeah, sometimes they come at a big, big cost and rightfully so. They're worth every penny of it because our coach, outlined our entire business plan and we executed on it with his help. He's like, this is how you're going to become this kind of business. Do what I tell you. Perfect. I will pay you every dollar you're worth, and he helped us make that, into reality. So
I love that. Yeah, yeah, that's so important. I love that you said that because, yeah, people don't, same thing, understand the impact. And if it's like, if you want to grow, which like that, we're like in that realm of like, we want to grow big, we want to do what we enjoy. And it's like, if you want to do it quickly, like just hire the people that already know how to do it because they'll just ramp you up and like that, they give you the right direction. So you're not there fumbling around and trying to figure out how to run a business, maybe wasting a year just trying to figure out that where it's like, they're like, boom, here's the process. And you guys ironed it out in a month. And like you said, now it's execution and actually getting it done.
They've already made the mistakes. I
Exactly.
gotta pay for their mistakes. So you'd be like, don't do that thing. That's even if they just told you all their mistakes, it would be valuable for you,
Oh,
because
yeah.
then you're not making those same mistakes. And they're like, this is they guide you. It's yeah, I'm a huge fan of having a coach, a mentor. In fact,
Mhm.
taking different courses and learning different things. In fact, there's always a budget for self-improvement and knowledge and mentorship. Like that's 100% must in your business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, love it. Any final words that you would like to tell the audience? Anything you'd like to share?
Um, I think I would challenge the audience. I think we talked a lot about mindset today, and I love it. It's my favorite topic, and self-improvement. But one of the things I love to challenge people on is the taking inventory of your thoughts. Try to be more aware of what you're thinking about and try to change the direction of the negative thoughts because that's changed my life. So in the beginning, I started by trying to have awareness of 3 thoughts a day that weren't serving me. And it could be little things like just try to change the direction. And there's an analogy Abraham Hicks uses: the faster you can catch the thought, the faster you can change it, because a thought actually, every 17 seconds, your thought doubles in momentum. So she uses an analogy that I love is a car on the top of a hill. She's like, if you stood in front of the car on the top of the hill and you put your car in neutral, you'd be pretty easily able to stop that car. But if you were to stand on the bottom and the car would come down the hill, we all know what would happen. So I would just challenge anyone that feels inspired to gain awareness of a couple of thoughts a day that are not serving you. And it could be something, like I said, small. Somebody cut you off, right? I mean, we've all had those times you're driving, you're rushing, somebody, this a-hole, blah, blah, blah. Then you're mad the whole time. Now you're late. Now you're blaming him. Now you're calling your mom. This guy cut me off. And catch it. This is not serving me. Is it going to serve me to be mad at this guy? No, he doesn't care. He's off to wherever he's going. Let me change the direction of that thought. That thought's not serving me. Let me turn my attention to something that I'm grateful for. And once you build that practice into your life, I promise you everything will change.
I love it. That's so great information. I hope you guys take action on what Ilona says. Thanks so much, Ilona. It's always so fun to chat with you. If you guys love what you heard from Ilona, she's going to be tagged on this. You can follow her and see what she's up to all the time. And if you love my shows, then definitely, and if you even love this specific show, send us some love. Let us know what you loved about it. And we'll definitely see you all at the next episode. Thanks so much, Ilona, for coming on. Thank you, everyone, for coming. And we'll see you all in the next episode. Bye, everyone. Bye, Ilona.
Bye. Thank you.